Hey guys, welcome back to the Investor Army podcast. We have a great guest today. Now, let me ask you something, guys. Do you have a real estate website for your real estate investment business? Because if you don't, you may be costing yourself a lot of money. Now, look at it like this, right? So, if I go to the same house and offer $100,000, and you go to the same house and offer $100,000, what's that homeowner going to do? They're going to go out there online and see who's going to be looking. They're going to research that person that's going to be buying that house, right? If you don't even have a website out there, like you don't even have a website, and then I have a website, I have social media, I have testimonials, who are they going to go to, right? So who's going to get that deal? So today's guest can help you with that, because my guest today is owns and operates the #1 website company for house buyers all around the country. Now, if you haven't heard of him, he's a strong entrepreneur. He's a real estate investor himself. He invests in multi-units up there in Oregon. Trevor Mauch.
Man, I really appreciate you bringing me on the podcast. First, I'm charged up that you have one, because, dude, one of my missions, like in life, and one of our missions here at Carrot, is to amplify leaders. And if there's anything, like if we played any role whatsoever, dude, in having you get to the point to where you are and sharing what you're doing with other people, man, it's a win for us. So I'm charged up that you have a podcast and happy to be on it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you absolutely did. I used to follow you. Like I was telling you, when you first started coming out, I'm a big believer in a lot of stuff you talk about as far as mindset, you're having the definite purpose, your why, your goal setting, the books you read. I've read most of the same books that you've read. So I think we're kind of following in the same footsteps. So I appreciate everything you're doing for the investment community, because I know for a fact, I know a ton of investors around the country. I'm a part of a lot of masterminds. I go travel the country speaking, and everywhere I go, you can't not hear about Investor Carrot, and people are making a lot of money, changing a lot of lives using the software that you've created, or the websites that you have, right? So you're really making an impact in the community. So I thank you for that.
Dude, I thank you too. And I want to throw a little bit more love back your way too, because we have a lot of customers, and of course we see lots of names come through, and this is like a testament to not just you, but the type of entrepreneur that succeeds, right? Where, dude, we would always see you coming through our mastermind calls. We'd always see you coming through chat, through email, hitting us up, always asking questions, because you were implementing. And I know that sounds obvious, but the people that we see succeed are the people that tend to be really diving in and asking lots of questions, but then they go and implement, and then they come back with more questions, and they go and implement, and they come back with more questions. And you're always one of the ones that we were like sharing doses of awesomeness from Connor all the time. It's like, man, that's so awesome. We love to see that when someone adopts that mindset, and they're like, it's not if this is going to work for me. I already see that it's worked for lots of other people. It's only a matter of when I'm going to make it work. That's the only variable, is time. And you could tell that was the variable for you, dude. It wasn't, I'm wondering if this thing's works. So you knew it worked, and you're going to make it work for yourself. So great work.
I appreciate that. Well, I think it's tough for a lot of individuals, because you have to get up there pretty high to be able to generate leads. And I think it took us like 9 or 10 months of really working hard, 3 to 5 hours a day on our sites to get them kind of up there. So, but you plant those seeds and you put enough energy and effort behind it, eventually, it'll start, paying you back. I want to kind of touch on kind of how you decide to come up with Investor Carrot. And first of all, the name, and then kind of like, I'm sure you did it out of some type of necessity for your own business. You had to learn this skill, which is internet marketing, how to get the SEO side of things going. And then I guess you just how did you kind of stumble into thinking, I can turn this actually into a real business that can help a lot of people?
Dude, good question. So I'm going to start with the names to get that out of the way, because a lot of people have the question, and we actually need to put that on our about page is what we need to do. We need to put the story of how the name came to be. So with my previous company, it was a publishing company, and great company. We loved it. But the problem with it is the name of our company really pigeonholed us into this one box. Like the name actually wouldn't let us go into another industry. It was so specific to a product. And I just kind of regretted naming the company that pigeonholed us into any one thing. And it wasn't a fun company name either. So with this company, and I'll kind of reverse right after this and explain how it came to be. So any entrepreneur, it doesn't matter if you're looking to start a software company, real estate investing, or whatever, can relate to these lessons. But the company name, I'm like, it's got to be fun. It's got to be something that can grow and expand into other markets if we choose to. And also, I want to make it simple. I want to make it simple and something we can have fun with. And so I was sitting there thinking, what should a website be for a small business? It shouldn't be a brochure like most websites are. It should be something that someone lands on that website and the website grabs them and it like gets them to come in. And I'm like, shoot, it's a carrot. Like that's what a website is. It's a carrot where you're kind of dangling the carrot in front of them. And if you do it right, they grab onto it. And so then I'm going, man, that can be fun. It's quick and simple. We can have all kinds of fun with it. Like if I was to show our office in here, man, everything is orange. Our sticky notes are orange. Our pens that we have are orange. My couch is orange. You can see carrot bud dolls back here.
I know. I was just thinking about that.
So I'm not sure if you do this just on audio or video, but you know this, man. Like we have a whole series of dolls that we make that are carrots. There's super carrot.
I don't have that one yet. I got one.
You don't have the super carrot room?
I should have brought him in here.
Farmer carrot. Anyway, so that was one of the reasons, dude. So we can expand it to different markets. It doesn't pigeonhole us into one thing, and we can have fun with it, which was one of my non-negotiables before I started this business. I'm like, learning lessons from my previous business. Here's these 5 non-negotiables. I'm not going to start a business, or if I ever get in the middle of this business and they don't match up with all 5, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop immediately. And one of them was have fun. And so that's what we're doing. So to kind of go back and answer your other questions. So how did we start this company? And once again, I want to relate it to anyone, no matter what type of business you're in, because entrepreneurship it's a journey, and we got to make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with people who can help us get in the right mind frame. And also while people listening to this might be choosing real estate as a business and maybe specifically wholesaling or something like that, a lot of the lessons, it doesn't matter what type of business you're in, translate to almost any business. And you have to be able to learn how to build a business and to be able to learn how to build passion and purpose into your business, no matter what type of business you're in. Otherwise, it's not going to be fun. But I'm going to try to shorten this as much as I can, dude. So I bought my first investment property in college. So that got me bit by the real estate bug. But I never wanted to be a full-time investor on my day-to-day. It's just not something I want to do. I use real estate for wealth building activity, buying and holding. So then over the years, I became pretty good at marketing because I really do like marketing. I like the strategy of marketing. I like human psychology, and I like figuring out how people work and how I can build value with them and solve their problem. And so I learned marketing pretty darn well, just trial by fire. Right after college, I gave myself a year to not get a job and went out there. And I'm like, I've got this marketing degree. Let me try to be a marketing consultant. I didn't know what I was doing. I was a terrible marketer. I learned.
So I think you're doing all right with marketing right now.
Well, I've learned though. That's the thing. Like I went out of the gates trying to get everything for me. I'm like, I've got this thing, and I think I can learn how to do this and do this, and let me try to find clients and just sell them this thing. And it wasn't working because I was always trying to pitch people something that they would pay me for. And then when people weren't paying me for it, I realized, man, I'm already not selling any services. So I may as well at least go out there and get the experience and do it for cool people and still not get paid for it. So I went out there and I'm like, let me just find some good clients that I can just do free work for, because I'm already not getting paid. I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to sell. And so I'm like, here's this. I see a problem. Here's something I can do for you. I'm not going to ask you to pay me. Let me just do it, and we'll see what happens. And so I did that. It turned into $1,000 a month retainer, and one of them, that person walked in there, and he said something amount of something the effect of, hey, pull up Google, and type this into Google. And he's a mortgage broker, and I typed it in, and he said, how do I get there? Because my competitors are there. And he goes, you know how to do that? I'm like, I have no clue. He's like, can you do it? I'm like, yeah. So that was lesson number one, was when you see opportunities to learn and grow a skill set, if it matches what you like to do, dive in and learn it and do it, because you never know where it's going to go. It's just going to build an asset for you. If it's something that you just don't like to do that stuff, don't do it. Flat out don't do it, because you're going to drag yourself down. But I kind of liked that techie stuff. I liked the online stuff. I liked marketing, so it fit into something I liked. So I learned SEO really well, and that turned over into other free or low dollar consulting gigs that then turned into really well paid consulting gigs. And during this time, I was driving leads for myself, for tenants and stuff like that. I was setting up websites for other clients. We raised a bunch of private money for a fund using a website I had set up in 2007. And so I learned how to convert leads and build credibility. And with that issue, man, it's like when you're trying to raise a private fund, you really need to build the credibility massively on your website. And so we learned how to do that. And we learned how to test, and we learned how to tweak stuff. Learned how to then convert a lead and nurture the lead. So this is over a 7 or 8 year process. And while I had been generating a lot of leads for myself and setting up websites for other real estate investors just as a favor and testing stuff, I got burnt out in my publishing company. And the short version of this story is I just divested myself from everything so I could simplify life. Yeah. I sold my half of that company to my business partner. Great business partner. I love the dude. I'm going to see him next week in Nashville. We get together a couple of times a year still. I just needed to divest mentally from that because I wasn't enjoying it. I divested from 2 software investments that I had made. I was either going to buy the company or completely step away from it. I was like either going all in or all out. And then I went all out, and I just ended up going, man, I've got all this time now this year to think of what I want to do big. And this idea kept on popping in my brain that for the last 10 years, the call to arms for small businesses has been, you've got to get online, right? And everyone got online. They got their free and cheap website builders. They got online. And once they got online, they had an advantage over their competitors who weren't online. Problem was, everyone got online. Now you don't have an inherent advantage because everyone's online. So that next wave was everyone's online, but how do you cut through the clutter? How do you actually cut through the clutter and get in front of your prospects, get to the top of Google, have better ads? How do you then convert the visitor into a lead at a higher rate? Because those low cost and website builders, or someone building a WordPress site that doesn't know what they're doing on performance, they're not setting it up to perform. So we saw a massive market, man. And we're like, this isn't just a real estate thing. This is a small business issue, that there's millions of small businesses that have websites online that are not performing, and they're wondering why. And we chose to solve the problem for real estate investors.
Okay, so he touched on something there, talking about this recurring in the back of his mind, this just constantly coming back up, guys. And that's something that I've dealt with and then acted on. So a lot of y'all are wondering if you should be doing something, but if it keeps coming up over and over and over, it's probably something deep down in your subconscious that's saying this is what I should be doing. So go ahead and act on it and try to go out there and go and live your dreams. Don't just sit there, because if it keeps coming up, that's what you really want to be doing. At least that's in my opinion on how I look at that. Now, he also brought up value, guys. And now I know this is a real estate podcast, but Trevor's an amazing entrepreneur, right? And so while he's on here, I want to talk about systems and time versus value. So let me kind of explain time versus value. So as you're working with joint venture partners in your business, you may get into a dispute over, one partner's at the property all day long while you're not there, and they're saying they're putting more time in, and they're watching the guys put the roof on the house. But you may have made the call and negotiated in 5 minutes that roof down from $5,000 to $3,500. So you've got $1,500 in measurable value that you created while they're just standing at the property watching it get done. So they're wasting time. So there's a difference between time and value. In order to grow something like Trevor's done at Investor Carrot, they've really had to understand time, create systems, hire the right team to do this, and kind of create a culture and a family over there, which I think they've done an amazing job doing. So Trevor, can you kind of talk about systems for people that are new in the business? Because that's really what allows you to scale your business as a new business owner.
Dude, so yeah, systems are kind of the bane of many entrepreneurs' existence and what sets you free at the same time. So I think most people who start a business or want to start a business do it for a few different reasons, and it's very universal reasons. You want freedom and flexibility, right? You want to be able to do what you want to do. You want to travel. You want to set your hours, whatever. That's one of the reasons. Another one of the reasons is honestly to prove people wrong, right? You just want to like make a statement and prove people that you can do something. And of course, part of it too is that financial freedom, which then gains you more of that freedom. Now, the problem is what happens to a lot of us, and I've lived this, and sometimes I relive it, and you got to kind of relearn it and put these principles in place. But what happens is we dive in so excited about starting a business that we start it, awesome, beautiful. We get some things happening, we get some momentum building, but then we build the entire business around ourselves.
Yep.
And we make it to where we are the cog right in the middle of the whole damn thing. So if you picture a little piece of paper, put a circle in the middle of it, and I didn't invent this, I saw it years and years ago, but it really resonated with me. But put a circle in the middle of it, write the word you, write you in it. That's the word you. And then put all of the things that you're doing in your business. When you start your business, you're doing everything. You're doing your books, you're doing your marketing, you're doing everything. So you're the trash person, you're the secretary, you're the appointment maker, you're the everything. And a business that's done like that does not give you the exact things we just talked about. It does not give you the freedom. It doesn't give you the flexibility. It's not going to give you the financial freedom. Even if you have the finances, you're not going to have the time to spend the money on the things you enjoy. And I've been through that. So the only thing that frees you up from that is systems and people. Okay, so it's not one or other, it's both. And on certain things, systems are the solution, and on certain things, people are, but they always have to work in tandem. So one of the first things that I did at Carrot or even my previous companies is, first of all, take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle of it. And on the right side of it, write the things that you just aren't good at and you don't enjoy, right? You just write, I'm not good at this, don't really enjoy that, kind of good at this, but I just hate it, drags my energy. And then on the left side of it, write all the things that you really enjoy. It fires you up, it energizes you. They're the things that you're good at. The stuff on the right side, you should, as quickly as possible, try to build systems or find people to delegate those to. And that's an exercise I do multiple times a year still, because what happens is as you grow, there will be more things piled on there that you have to continually pare out and refine. So systems are critical. And find those main core systems that are going to help your business operate just better and more efficiently. And for a wholesaler, as an example, there's certain, you'd know better than I would, but there's certain systems here that are probably really good. How do you follow up with a lead when it comes in? You learn it yourself so you can master it, but then build a system for it, document it. Okay, a lead comes in, what do I say? What's the first thing that I say when I pick up the phone? Are there a series of questions that I should ask that best elicit the information I need? Okay, write those questions down. Is there information that I already have from the person because they've already filled something out online? Okay, make sure I've got that in front of me. So make sure I have the system that has that in front of me. How do I set an appointment? What's effective in setting an appointment? How do I actually ask that question? So once you guys kind of go through and realize what works, write it all down. Now you have a system that you can hand that off to someone and go, okay, now you can take calls for me because I learned how to do this and I refined the process. And now you can do it at least 80% as good as I did with my system. And that's one thing we have to be okay with, is not holding to the standard that every single thing or person that you hand off has to be done 100% as good as you did it. Oftentimes you are the best practitioner of that thing in your business. And in order to scale out and regain that freedom, we have to be okay with handing it off and having it done at 80% at least as good as you could have done it. So now you can go out and do 4 other things.
Yeah.
But anyway, I could talk about this stuff all day long, dude. But systems and people and the processes that the people use are what sets you free. So if you're going to be a solo entrepreneur your whole life, sweet, you just better find a business model that makes that easy. So
can you kind of like tell people how like y'all grew? Because a lot of people never get to see. So I just had talked to you may know Tom Olson. They do like 400 or 500 deals a year up there in Indiana, and they've got 20 some plus employees. People want to know kind of, I hear a lot, how to grow from a solopreneur to entrepreneur, and how to go, like, who was the first person you hired, and then how did you go? Did you go from 1 person to 10 people all of a sudden, or did you go 1 to 2 to 4 to 10? Did you use virtual assistants? And kind of what does Investor Carrot look like right now? I know y'all's team's getting a lot bigger, and I think people are interested to kind of see how to grow because they don't really know how to do that.
Yeah. So right now, the way that our company works, and once again, I want to really frame this with people because I was talking with Brad Chandler yesterday. He's a big investor out of Baltimore and DC. Thousands of real estate deals that he's done. And we were talking, and we're like, man, oftentimes when you hear the story of where someone is now after a success story, people look at it, and if they're at the start of that curve, they can't relate. They just can't relate because they're looking at it going, man, Brad's done 3,000 deals. And he has the same kind of thing, 20 people on his team. it's like there's not a lot that you can relate with there because I'm just getting started. Like I don't have one person, so how am I going to even use this stuff that Brad's talking about? So I want to make sure that when I give this answer, that I am really peeling back to the mind frame that I was in when I was just one person. So I started the exact same way y'all are starting with on this, that are listening to this. So don't think that you've got to have 10, 15 people on your team. So we have 10 full-time people right now. We just hired another one that's going to be starting in June. He actually lives in Austin, Texas, but working virtually. So that's 11. We have another 3 positions that are open right now that we should be hired within the next month and a half. So that'll put us up to 14. And we'll probably be by the end of the year around 17 or 18 full-time employees. That doesn't include any contractors we work with, which is another 6 or 7. So we have a decent sized organization, but we didn't start that way, right? So when Carrot started, it was just me and an idea. Okay. And it was just me and an idea. And that idea, I myself had to go through and do a lot of things I wasn't good at and didn't like to get started. And that's just what you got to do as an entrepreneur. Unless you got boatloads of money that you can go pay someone to come in and be a CEO right out of the gates, which most of us don't. So you got to have an idea. You've got to have the mindset to not quit. And you've got to learn how to dig in and just get scrappy and learn some things that you probably aren't your core skill set, but they're things you need to get going. The second thing you've got to do is you've got to get crazy focused. There was a gal, I'm in Bigger Pockets quite a bit, just helping people through there. And I was answering one yesterday, and this gal's like, I need some help. I need someone to outsource to, and I've got all these systems I need to put in place. And like literally she named like 17 different software systems or something. And some of them were like overlapping. You know, it was like Carrot and 2 of our competitors. I'm like, so first of all, let's get focused. And let's really understand what it is that your first success milestone is. Okay, so everyone's got to figure out their first success milestone. With Carrot, it was selling our first customer. Like I want to be able to take in our very first dollar and show that at least one person wants what we have to offer. Because if one person wants it, there's probably another person. And if 2 people want it, I'm sure we can keep on getting feedback from them, refine the process, and sell 4 and go on from there. And with this gal, my feedback was get rid of all that crap and focus on the essentials. What do you need to do to get your first lead? That's it. What do you need to do to get 1 lead? You don't need all this stuff. You don't need a CRM at that point. You can use your fingers. Like you can use like a spreadsheet. Do something like that. You don't need any of that crap to get a lead. You don't need a fancy phone call system. You don't need any of that stuff. You need a phone, and you need you and your voice in your ears. So what do you need to do to hit that first success milestone, nail that? And that's what we did with Carrot, like I said. So we the first thing we had to do was have a product that we could sell. The second thing that we had to do was have a selling mechanism to sell our product. So for a real estate investor, your selling mechanism could be your website. It could be your credibility package. It could be your direct mail piece coupled with you talking to them on the phone. So find out what your kind of sales mechanism is that is going to get you that first sale. And with us, I knew that we had to have some sort of a website that we could point people toward to show them some stuff. Next, what we had to do, man, is we had to do things that didn't scale. And this is something that I think a lot of people when they start, they're always looking for, man, how do I build a system? How do I do this? And how do I do that? I'm not going to do this because that doesn't scale. I'm not going to pick up the phone and talk to everyone. I'm going to get a call center right now because a call center can scale, but I can't scale. Like, it doesn't matter. You need to do the things when you're starting that don't scale so you can learn it, so you can see what's happening, so you can build a better product, so you can get the direct feedback from your client, from your sellers, from your buyers, from whatever. So what we did with Carrot is, dude, the first 100 websites, me and my younger brother, Kyle, physically manually built ourselves. Like a sale would come in and I'm like, I don't want to invest 20 grand into this business idea before I know it's going to work, into having all this fancy software built to automatically create a site and to have like a cool dashboard and stuff. When Carrot first launched, it was literally a WordPress website that me and my brother hacked together. And this was before it actually launched as Carrot. It was a completely different name in 2013. Then we rolled it over to Carrot at the start of 2014. Once we decided to take it seriously. But we hacked it together. We had it down to like a 22-step process that took 9 minutes per site. And someone would join and it said your website elves are going to work building your website or whatever, and they wouldn't get their site for 2 days. Now it's all instant, man. You join, it's like I can have a website up in 13 seconds. I can delete it, and I can start another one up in 10 seconds. But we had to get enough revenue coming in to prove that it was going to work. So my risk was lower, so I wasn't investing too much money or time. And then we did those things that didn't scale at the start, which were building websites, which were doing all the support ourselves. And then once we got the revenue and proved it was going to work, we took that revenue and then built it into building out the product. And I realize I didn't fully answer your question. I'll shut up here in a second. But the first hire we had was my assistant. Jen. And that for me was massive because I'm what the Colby score grades as a high quick start and a low follow through, like way high. The Colby score grades on 4 scales. It's a fact finder, like how much research do you need to do before you make decisions, 1 through 10. Follow through. Are you a checklist person? You got to finish things that are started. You hate having a bunch of things open. Quick start. Are you a visionary person? Are you an idea person? You're the kind of person who has 3 halfway read books on your nightstand, 14 projects halfway done, and you just came up with the 15th just now. And then the last one, I don't remember what it is, but I'm a 8 quick start out of 10, and I'm a 2 follow through, and that's really, really bad combination when you're trying to start a business because you have ideas everywhere, a bunch of halfway done stuff. And at a certain point, if you're a solo entrepreneur, you got to get focused enough, even if it's against your grain. You're like, I've got to focus on one of these and get it done first. As soon as you get your first revenue, though, pile it into someone who's a high follow through and low quick start. And now you amplified your effect. Jen, my assistant's a 7 or 8 follow through, 3 or 4 quick start. So now, not only can I still be an idea person, but now she can help me implement and move things forward. She can help me tie up loose ends. She can help me amplify my impact by 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times versus me just doing it myself. So that was the first hire. The next hire was my co-founder, Chris, with Carrot. And it was the exact same reason I did it. I realized I'm a high quick start, low follow through. I needed someone at a leadership level who could get stuff done, who was an executioner, who was organized, who could make sure that the vision I was casting, the plan that we were creating, the strategy we were creating, we didn't go off track and we were staying toward it. And so that's what he is, and he owns a part of the company. And this is where you kind of talked about time versus value. I really consider the value that someone can play like Chris into the business insanely high because he keeps us on the tracks. I laid the tracks, he keeps us on them. And he was huge. And the next hires after that, man, were support, like your normal stuff, kind of supporting the overall machine that you started to create now. And then there's some other key hires in there, but they're all based on where am I becoming a bottleneck in my business and where am I not working within my unique ability. So kind of going back to that piece of paper, the line down the middle, right? Keep on doing that. And where am I still being a bottleneck and holding things back and not working within my unique ability, all that stuff on the right side. And stuff for me on the right side was, man, marketing makes us money. Like I'm good at it. Some people would say I'm amazing at it, but I hate it. Like it drags me down. I love marketing ideas. I hate implementing marketing. So the right side was full of that stuff. I'm like, man, I've got to find someone who's an executioner on my marketing stuff. And so I found Alex. And he's a high follow through, low quick start. Once you start to see this little trend, that any person that I surround directly with me has to fit a very specific box. It can't be just someone I enjoy or that I like. They've got to be a great culture match, but then they have to fit the way we work model with the Colby score. So anyway, dude, I can talk all day long, so I don't want to hijack this.
Oh, no, you're good. It's all about you. That's why you're here. Now, so guys, so what he's basically saying in a lot of that is you have to let your business evolve naturally, right? So he made a point where a lot of y'all have all this stuff you're trying to do at the beginning. You think you need to have all these different systems, all these different computer programs, have all these different marketing campaigns out there. You don't need all that. Like I remember when I started my business, I was probably wasting an extra $1,000 a month in extra fees, $39.99 here, $89.99 there. You need to be putting your time and energy into getting deals done, putting money in your pocket. And then once you realize you can do that, then out of necessity, if you get to a point where you have too many calls that you can't handle it, then get a call servicing company. So grow out of necessity. So hire out of necessity and naturally evolve. Don't just go ahead and invest all this money and spend all this time and energy trying to get things done when you may not even need that at that point where you're at that present moment.
Yeah.
And also, like, he's real big on talking about focusing on one thing at a time. And if y'all go and watch one of those videos we had on building systems on our YouTube channel, right, we talk about don't have 10 different systems at once that you're trying to put together all at once. Write all 10 down that you want to work on. Start on one. Only work on that one for a week or two until you get that one going. Then throw it off to the side. Bring the next one in. So don't try to do everything at once because you're never going to do it. You're going to do a bunch of things poorly. Whereas if you can just do them one at a time, you're going to build a strong system that lasts. And then you start, once you get your systems in place, then you realize what you need done. And then you can hire someone to come in and take over those systems and manage those systems. And then you scale accordingly. It's kind of what I think.
Exactly. And dude, one thing I'll toss out there too is on the systems things, kind of going back to that gal from Bigger Pockets, is I think oftentimes we'll all get in the mistake of thinking we've got to build the system before we actually march forward with it. The mindset that I have now is a system only gets built when only gets built or added to it when you actually need that system right now to solve a problem that you're currently experiencing. And if we're building out systems to solve problems we've never experienced yet, we're probably wasting time. Like kind of like that example where she's like, I need all these CRM systems. Have you experienced the problem of having too many leads to handle yet? No. Okay. You don't need it right now. You don't need that system. The system you probably need right now the problem you currently have is not getting leads. So you need a system right now that you can start to build to get leads. And then once you get enough leads, oh my gosh, I have a problem with not being able to manage them. Sweet system. Solve a problem that you have right now with the system.
Yeah. So I see a lot of people run into this when they're talking about, should I hire a CPA to do my work for me or hiring someone to do it? So if you can easily manage your numbers and keep track of all your business because you're doing just a few wholesale deals or whatever, you can handle that. You'll know when you need someone to come in because all of a sudden it's overwhelming you, right? And that's when you know that, hey, this is time. I need to have someone step in and help me out here. Mm-hmm. Now, I really like what y'all are doing up there. I think it's an amazing culture you have. I think y'all, to be honest, not just in real estate, but as far as in all businesses I work with, y'all support systems absolutely amazing. We probably bug you more than we should with my assistants contacting you. And
no, we're good, man.
I know you're a big follower of self-development and you love to read. I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs are kind of all the same as far as they're linked on that mindset. Go ahead and give them some good books that you've read. I know you've given me some good recommendations in the past on some of your other podcasts or webinars. So are you reading anything right now that you think people would like to hear?
Dude, yeah, big reader, like you said. I mean, the funny thing is, so here's one of my bookshelves. This isn't my only one. I've got other bookshelves in here and at home. But
big ones over here.
It's funny, like probably a full third of the books on that shelf I have not read yet because I'm a notorious book buyer. And then, dude, that's my high, quick start, low fall through right there. I will buy the heck out of books, but reading them is a little bit harder. So I'll give a few recommendations. And these are based on I think I have favorite books based on the problem or the phase in my life that I was in that a book helped me. So a book back when I was in that phase when I was just not enjoying business or life in general. I had way too much going on. And you've seen me recommend this is The Pumpkin Plan. So The Pumpkin Plan, very simple book. Actually, you can get the PDF version of chapter 1. And I suggest this to a lot of people, probably much to the chagrin of the author who I know. Had a chance to interview him a few times, Mike McAllowitz. But you can get the first chapter of that book. Just go to Pumpkin Plan, Google Pumpkin Plan PDF and Pumpkin Plan book PDF. And you can get the first chapter. I actually shut the book after the first chapter, and I'm like, that's what I need. I needed what was on page 16 or 17 and everything leading up to that, and I shut it. That's a big deal. It helps you trim down the excess in your life so you can focus on the important things. And it's a really good model. Another kind of book around that same topic, this one gets a little bit deeper. It's called Essentialism. And Essentialism is just a different way to approach that same topic, but a lot more scientific and more deep. Essentialism was great around that. Dude, starting out stuff, like if you're just starting out as an entrepreneur, you're going to need a rock solid mindset to blast through the setbacks. The Go Giver. So the book, The Go Giver, I've given that book to a lot of people. It's the book that I read back when I was just getting out of college that year, and I read that, and I'm like, man, I need to give value, not ask for anything in return, since I'm not selling anything anyway. That's what changed my world then. So the Go Giver. And around that same time too, some old books like The Science of Getting Rich is good. And just really helps you nail some of the mindset stuff. So now today, I'll give a couple recommendations on books that I'm reading today. I'm a big fan of biographies of people that I look up to, because it really helps me aspire to bigger things. So I wrapped up the Elon Musk biography, which is amazing. It's just really cool just seeing what a person like him has done. And I know by no means am ever going to scratch the surface of doing what he's doing. But it's just amazing that when a human can decide to do that, they can decide to do that. They can do it. And that's the only thing that's separating you or me or anyone from being the next Elon Musk, is making the choice to do it. I just don't want to work 100 hours a week, and I have no aspirations to go to Mars. And he's smarter than me too. He's a smart dude. And leadership. So currently I'm learning leadership. So in that kind of arc as an entrepreneur, you go from solo entrepreneur, where you've got to learn tactics and skills at that point. You've got to learn how to get the lead, how to close the lead, how to negotiate. You've got to learn that stuff. Next, you've got to learn how to build systems, right? And mindset stuff. And then once you start hiring people, you got to start learning leadership. And that's where we are now, where as other people are doing the majority of the implementation, I've got to be able to be a way better leader. So I hired a leadership coach about 4 months ago, comes into the office every Tuesday. And 2 leadership books that I went through are amazing. One of them, anything with John Maxwell is great. But John Maxwell's book, How to Develop the Leader Within, me and my leadership team read that together. And then we talked about a chapter a week. We finished that up a couple months ago. Amazing book. And I'm reading a book right now called How to Turn the Ship Around. I think it's called Turn the Ship Around, or How to Turn the Ship Around. Actually, Andre and my team read it. And she brought it over to me. She's like, you've got to read this book. And it's an amazing story from a captain or admiral or whatever it is on a submarine, and how he turned that submarine from the worst submarine in the fleet to the best in 2 years. It's really good.
Yeah, guys, I think y'all like John Maxwell books. He talks about he breaks it down in some of his books. I forget, I've read a number of them about the different types of thinking that we use. And he really breaks down the way that we look at our thinking and our thought processes. The Pumpkin Plan is a great book as well. I actually read that after you suggested that about 2 years ago. And I think that's a good book for new entrepreneurs. Now, I'm real big on positivity and staying positive, but unfortunately when we go through and film YouTube videos and we go on podcasts, a big part of being an entrepreneur is overcoming the obstacles. And I think as long as people know ahead of time, hey, there's going to be, stormy days, when those days come, it's easier to get through them. Can you give people kind of a run through on, obviously you've had a lot of ups and downs as an entrepreneur. How do you get through those tough days when you come to them? Because I think that's what keeps most people from making it, because a lot of people quit because they think that, this isn't for them or it's not going to work, but it's the people that push through those days that go and become successful. And if more people just did, I think more people would be able to kind of live the life that they've always wanted to have.
Dude, I mean, that's really good question. So a few different things have changed the game for me, and I've tried to help as many of our team members as people that I'm around adopt some of these things as well. So the first thing, and this isn't the easiest one to nail, but it's critical, I feel. So there was this study done, and I watched this documentary that was talking about the happiest people in the world, right? And they went out and interviewed these people, and they weren't just the happiest, but they interviewed a lot of people who lived a long time. They were 100 years old, 105. And these were all different backgrounds, right? Atheists, people who believed in God, person who said it was all the healthy food I ate, a person who was 105 and smoked every day and drank, and he said he stopped drinking water 30 years ago and only drinks beer. So it's all of these things. The one thing that they all had in common was they had something that they got up for in the morning. Something motivated them to get up for. And it was all different things. This one lady, hey, I wrote my first novel when I was 80, and I live for telling story now. Every day I get up to want to tell a story. This other guy's like, I have a job. I'm 102 years old. I wash cars. I wash cars at this plumbing company, and I run a marathon a year. It's like he gets up for that stuff. So we've all got to have something that we're living for, first of all, and that this business helps to fuel that thing, right? So it could be your family. And just really locking that into your brain, going, man, this is what I'm living for. and this business is going to help my family. It could be that you have a purpose or mission that is way bigger than you. One of mine is to amplify leaders. And I truly want to, when I'm gone and when I'm here too, but have a ripple effect where, just like with you, man, you're out there reaching hundreds or thousands of people. And I'm going, man, if I had any way, shape, or form to influence you doing that, I did my job, because now I'm helping to amplify leaders to go out there and make our world a better place. So when I wake up every day, man, I'm like, us, by building this company and working through those trials and tribulations, it's going to build our platform where we can deliver our message in a greater way and amplify the world and truly change this world in the way that we can change it. Another thing, dude, you got to surround yourself with an environment that triggers those things in your mind to get your mind back where it needs to be. You can see behind me right there, if people are watching a video of this, you can see behind me, we all have a canvas in our own offices here at the Carrot. At the end of the year, we had everyone submit a quote that resonated with them the most in their life at that point. For me, kind of one of my themes for this year is action expresses priorities. This past year, some of my actions didn't express what I was saying were my priorities. And so you got to surround yourself with the things that make you realize and remember those important things that keep you there. My core values are on the wall over there. Every one of our team members has their core values there. Our mission and vision, along with our roadmap, is right there. So when we hit a stumbling block, we know what we're trying to do this whole year. So it puts it into perspective. You walk up in our office. You walk up to the top of the stairs. You cannot get in our offices without passing by this giant canvas that says "Never give up." Like, you just cannot get into our offices without seeing that. So every step of the way, we surround ourselves with this. If I was to take you over there and into the offices behind me, where a lot of our customer success team is, we took an entire wall and put corkboard on it. You're on it, actually. I put corkboard on it, and we take the doses of awesomeness that we get, which we got 400 or 500 last year. We take the doses of awesomeness our customers send through, and we now print them off and put as many of them as we can up on that wall. So our team is surrounded by why we're doing what we're doing. It's just so big, because, like you said, you are going to hit those problems. You are going to hit those times you're going, man, should I not do this anymore? And then the last part of it is having the mindset of, it's not a matter if this is going to work. It's only a matter of when. And that's what got me through it when I was starting business in general right out of college. Was the first 6 to 8 months, man, I was like in this, man, does this work? I wonder if this is going to work, man. I wonder if this is ever going to happen, But then I heard an audio from someone that basically said, if you ever have that question, look out there in the world and see if other people have done what you're seeking out to do. And if you can unequivocally say, yes, other people have done what I am trying to do, then you know without a shadow of a doubt that it's possible. You know without a shadow of a doubt that it can happen. So the only variable is if you'll stick it out long enough to make it happen, and if you will actually learn the skill set and push forward to do what needs to be done to make that happen. Everyone listening to this, if you want to be a wholesaler, if you don't succeed, it's on you. And this is completely being tough love here. If you don't succeed, it's 100% on you, because you know it can happen. Connor's done it. Thousands of other people have done it, probably tens of thousands. So if it's not working for you, it's not anything but the path you chose to try to make that work. And are you giving up too soon? So you got to adopt that mindset massively.
And as long as you're blaming, other things in your environment, the government or a friend or a relative or, whatever you're blaming, your education or what, you're putting the power in that external environment. So only that can change to create a change for you. So you have to be able to take blame for everything. So even if it's really not your fault, take blame for it, because now you're giving yourself the power to change and move forward. And I think that's where a lot of people can gain some value. Now, I know you're busy. I want to let you go, but you're absolutely making an impact in the investor community. There's a lot of individuals. I mean, think about it like this. How many people in the next 5 years are going to close enough deals through Investor Carrot to create a portfolio that can create generational wealth? So you're not just impacting this generation, but the next generation. So I think what y'all are doing is absolutely amazing. I appreciate you coming on here. And if you want to, I know that you have something exciting coming out. You have Investor Carrot for agents, right? Coming out here pretty soon, or you have anything else that you want to talk about here real quick while you got the chance?
Man, yeah. If there's anything Carrot can help you guys with, then just reach out to Connor and kind of learn about his experience with Carrot and how we've helped him with the online lead side of things. I mean, this call, I don't feel this call is to pitch us or Carrot. If we're a fit, you'll find us and work through Connor, and I'm sure he's got a link or something like that. But I think the biggest thing is this. I'll leave you guys with is when you start this business, be insanely intentional in what you're doing. Okay. If you're locking in on, man, I'm going to hustle my way to $5,000 a month or 10 grand a month or 20 grand a month, and that is your goal, my guess is you're probably going to be pretty disappointed when you get there, because your mindset is locked in on a number as your success point, as your success metric. And anytime we lock our success metrics and our happiness on whether we reached a number, you're going to be very unhappy, because numbers never end, right? Numbers never end. So when you get to that number, it's like a horizon. The horizon changes. And the closer you get to the horizon, it keeps on moving out there. The closer you get to that 10 grand, all of a sudden your eye is going to be locked in at 15 grand. And then it's going to be locked in 20. And then it's going to be, how do I get to 80, right? So be really intentional now, right now, why you're doing this. And there's got to be another reason other than the dollar amount. Second thing is, we do have to come up with the dollar amount. So I'll obviously have goals there, but make sure the dollar amount's intentional once again. So don't just toss something out there going, man, I'm going to make $1 million. Why do you want to make $1 million, right? With Carrot, a question we ask every single year when we do our forecasting, when we do our budgeting, and when we cast our goals for the next year, is we work it back and then we go, okay, well, actually, we start with, okay, here's what we did last year. How do we do? What do we think we can do this next year? Then we set a goal, right? Customer numbers, revenue, the whole thing, and a lot of other stuff too. But then we go, okay, is this a push goal or is it an easy goal? If it's a push goal, cool. That helps push you. Next, the very last thing before we solidify is we say why. Why does that matter? Why does that number matter? Is that number there just so we can grow revenue? If that's the case, let's pull back our hours. Let's curtail our business and let's stay at our current revenue and just be happier, right? Working half as much time with the same revenue. There has to be a crazy, crazy real reason why you are needing and wanting to grow that business to that revenue number that hits you at your core. Otherwise, you're going to be unhappy and building a business that traps you. For us, when we asked that question this year, why we're going to get to this number, it's because if we don't, we're not going to be making the impact that we want to make. And I truly believe that is why we're here. We're going to build the biggest business we can, as well as we can, to fulfill our mission, which is to add humanity back to business and help people regain the precious time for the things that matter in life. And if we're only reaching 5,000 people, we're doing a disservice to humanity. So that's our reason why we're growing this year. So two things, intentional and be intentional.
That's that's really, really good advice from a high-level entrepreneur, guys. I hope you really like this episode. Just a quick run through kind of what Investor Carrot is. Again, as you're starting your business, you're going to need websites, right? I tried a number of different websites. When I found Investor Carrot, I was like, wow, right? This is awesome, right? So you can basically get a turnkey website for your motivated buyers, motivated sellers, your main web page. It's already optimized to drive with squeeze pages. I mean, it's pretty much a turnkey system, right? You can go ahead and check it out, investorarmy.com. We'll put a link to Investor Carrot on there for you. But guys, I don't know of anything else better out there. I practice what I preach. We actually use Investor Carrot. That's what all our sites are hosted on. So I highly recommend checking it out. And Trevor, I appreciate you doing what you're doing for the community. And I'll let you get back to your day. But I'm thankful that you came on today.
Sweet, man. Dude, I really appreciate the invite. And everyone keep on hanging on to Connor's podcast. He knows what he's talking about. And I can verify it, man. He knows what he's talking about. So good work, man.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you.